What do skinny jeans, an explosive advertising campaign, and a global fashion empire have in common? The answer, Calvin Klein. But the story behind this name is much more than logos and runways. It's a tale of ambition, controversy, and a bold vision that revolutionized the industry. Let's rewind to 1942. In the heart of the Bronx, New York, a young man named Richard Klein, later known as Calvin, grew up with a fervent passion for design and fashion. The son of Hungarian immigrants, Calvin learned the trade from his mother, a talented seamstress. From a young age, he knew that his destiny was in fashion, not in the family business. Years passed, and after graduating from the Fashion Institute of Technology, Calvin worked as an apprentice in several design houses in New York. But the spark of independence was already burning within him. In 1968, with a $10,000 loan and the support of his childhood friend, Barry Schwartz, Calvin Klein founded his own company. His first workshop was modest, a small space in a New York hotel. The initial success was almost accidental. A mistaken purchase by a department store turned a small order into a huge one, catapulting Calvin Klein onto the fashion map. His minimalist and elegant style resonated with a generation that was looking for something more than the traditional. The 1970s marked the consolidation of the brand. Calvin Klein revolutionized the jeans industry by designing skinny jeans with his name stamped on the back pocket. It was a bold move that transformed jeans into a high-fashion garment and a status symbol. Sales skyrocketed, and the brand became a cultural phenomenon. But the real turning point came with the advertising campaigns. Calvin Klein was not afraid to push boundaries. His ads were provocative, sexy, and often controversial. Brooke Shields, barely 15 years old, uttering the famous phrase, "Nothing comes between me and my Calvins," unleashed a whirlwind of criticism and praise. But the goal had been achieved. Everyone was talking about Calvin Klein. The 1980s were a time of expansion. Calvin Klein diversified his product line, venturing into underwear, perfumes, and accessories. Obsession, his iconic fragrance, became a global bestseller. The brand had transformed into an empire, synonymous with luxury, sensuality, and an aspirational lifestyle. However, the road was not without obstacles. In the late 1990s, the brand faced financial problems and was on the verge of being sold. But Calvin Klein, true to his vision, managed to restructure the company and maintain creative control. This is where the myth comes in, the urban legend surrounding Calvin Klein. It is said that, in the early days of the brand, during one of the first presentations of his collection, an accidental fire destroyed almost all the garments. Desperate, Calvin Klein improvised a show with what little was left, using models in unfinished clothes and a disheveled style. To everyone's surprise, the critics praised the deconstructed aesthetic and avant-garde minimalism. Reality or fiction? The truth is that it has never been confirmed, but the story persists, fueling the image of Calvin Klein as a genius capable of transforming a disaster into a work of art. Today, Calvin Klein is one of the most recognized fashion brands in the world. Although Calvin Klein sold his company to Philips Van Heusen in 2002, his legacy lives on. The brand remains synonymous with innovative design, impactful advertising campaigns, and an aesthetic that challenges the boundaries of the conventional. Under the creative direction of designers like Raf Simons, Calvin Klein has managed to reinvent itself, maintaining its essence and attracting new generations of consumers. Calvin Klein proved that fashion is much more than clothing. It is a form of expression, a statement of intent, a tool to challenge norms and break barriers. His story is a reminder that ambition, creativity, and audacity are essential ingredients for building an empire. And that, sometimes, the myths and legends surrounding a brand can be as important as the facts that define it. Because sometimes, behind a simple logo, there is a whole story that few know.